Hi, I thought I'd delve right into what's inspiring me today. Last night I finished this landscape painting, and as most of you know if you've been following me, I loved the palette on this tissue box, and I had pulled those colors with my watercolor palette as the underpainting of sorts prior to going over top with mark making supplies. And for those of you that have also been following my Oracle deck journey, I'm so close to the final edits, and it's going to print. And this is the cover of the box. This is one of the paintings that didn't make the cut, but I do love it. Embrace happy accidents. And what I wanted to show you is the interesting thing. I had painted this earlier this year, and it really spoke to me. There's another video where I tell you a little bit about this painting, but without realizing it, I feel like I kind of channeled in the same colors that are in this. I have the original still here with me, so I'm just going to move this one for a second. So this is the original painting, Quiet, that I have chosen as the back of each of my Oracle deck cards, as well as, let's just see if I have, these are all kind of drafts. I don't have an example of what I want to tell you about, but what I did want to show you is just this palette. If you look closely at the colors, you can see where, even though I was inspired by a Kleenex box, a Scotty's tissue box, it's like I was just feeling these same colors, and naturally, intuitively, I just was zeroing in on them again. I thought I would try and bring in more of the colors through mark making that I was missing. So when I look at this, I see so many similarities. I really love the bronze, the gold accents that are also in this painting. I really love these leaves. I might try and incorporate these big black leaves. This is silver lining on them, and I feel like I could really pull in a little bit of this light yellow. So I would say that this painting, these sketchbook pages, are complete, but if I was just take it to the next level, how would I complete it? So I'm gonna do that with you right now. I just wanted to mention that my ring light that I love and is so good to me has quit on me, and so thank goodness I'm in sunny Calgary, and it's pretty bright out this morning. And so hopefully this lighting is okay. I'll see if I can brighten it up for you before I post it. But I think you can really see all these beautiful details in here. I just love that shimmer. And you can see down here, I used iced coffee gelato. Look at that shimmer. Isn't that beautiful? So that was something I just smudged on with my finger after the watercolor was dry. And then I chose to do some sort of scratch marks with it over here and then throughout the painting. I know it's really hard to see everything that I'm working on. I have a very small table here, and these are actually really wide sketchbooks. So I'm just gonna set this up above me here. I'm not gonna use that in this videoscape. And what I wanted to show you is I'm going to, you know what? I'm gonna just turn on my light super quick, take a deep breath. Whoops, wait for me. There we go. So you're gonna see shadows, but that's okay, because shadows are awesome, right? They teach us a lot about different things, especially in art and our lives. So I'm gonna add this beautiful light yellow. This is a Neocolor Caran d'Ache crayon. You can see the bits of yellow I had in here. And that was the only color I felt was really missing from here. We have a tiny bit of almost a beigey yellow, an earthy yellow here and over here, but I really want to add in this yellow. So let's just start by doing some tiny marks. So I have quite a few marks in here already in this, what do you say, going up and down, vertical. And sometimes I like to vary it a bit more, but I feel like this will work. You can see I have written on here, embrace stillness. I was just thinking about that the other night as I was doing mark making. the weather was changing. It was very still outside. There was a storm coming, and I just felt in this painting this calm before the storm. And I suppose the storm is maybe some of the wild mark making that comes over top, I don't know, or maybe just how I kind of pull the painting, the calm, together before the storm, and it will calm me on another day. I'm getting all analytical here. I don't know what I'm talking about. Well, I kind of do, but okay. I'm really liking that yellow in here. It's such a beautiful addition, and I'm gonna try and put it in a few different places. I'm gonna sneak in some yellow in between these light pink marks. And I'm pressing fairly firmly. So looking at this, I kind of feel like I want a little bit more of a chunkier yellow. I could do that a little bit over here. And this is a gelato. The color is very, very earthy. I feel like that's too light, but I just wanted to add in a little bit more color in here. So I'm gonna go with a bit more of a yellow, brighter gelato. I'm not sure if I have that, but I could probably get away with maybe mixing this one. Oops. I think I'm gonna just put this yellow over top. Yes, and it mixes beautifully. I was looking for a bit of a butter yellow, but I think this does the trick. I'm gonna smudge it in with my finger. And I love how it picks up the texture of the cold pressed watercolor page in my Strathmore journal. And that just provides so much texture down here. So just the simple act of adding a water-soluble supply for texture over dried watercolor. So if you have some watercolor paintings you've started, or if you put down watercolor in a journal like me, just play around with maybe adding different supplies over top. This is a non-traditional way of using them because I'm smudging them in with my finger. And I'm just kind of taking a step back, and I see that I want to pull in a little bit more of a chunky mark with this buttery yellow, because it's just kind of calling my name. And so these are uneven marks. Some are thick, some aren't. And this is new for me, and I really love it. And the reason that I'm doing these videos is for myself, so I can kind of get out of this feeling of being stuck in my work. Because as I think I've told you in other videos, I paint so frequently. I absolutely love it. And I kind of feel like I started painting intuitively, but then I started to control what I was doing, and I wasn't as free. Whereas when you're on video, it forces you to be free. You don't have much time to overthink it. And so this process of these videos is helping me as an artist kind of loosen up again, just discover more about myself. So this, art journaling, art is such a sense of discovery. We learn so much about ourselves. Okay, I really, really love that. Last night, I had put this up just above my fireplace, and when I was watching TV, I was looking at it and I thought, I like this area, but I just want a bit more detail. So you can see I had used my Uniball Signo bronze pen, which looks absolutely stunning over this turquoise. I'm gonna add more details in this leaf here. And it was because I looked at this painting and I thought, oh, I just wanna pull in. You can see that beautiful shimmer in the watercolor here. And you can also see this pen work here. I just felt like I wanted to pull that in so the paintings would almost match, or be, kind of like sister paintings. And I know I'm gonna just drop my camera down a little bit more here, just so you can see a little bit better what I'm doing. I'm gonna add tiny little marks, like V's, and sort of stagger them on the lines of this leaf that I already have. And it is hard to work without my beautiful ring light because the shadow almost blocks what I'm doing. But again, maybe that will help me get out of my head because I'm not trying to make it perfect. So you can just see, you can sort of see those marks that I'm putting on this leaf. And this is a mark that I have practiced over time and I use in some of my work. I find it very detailed. I tend to like things that are more simple, but let's go wild with this landscape page. I just love it. Okay, and moving on, let me just see here. Yeah, I just love how the colors pull in together. I know this is hard to see on camera. Okay, what are we gonna do now? I'm gonna just straighten this out a little bit. And I wanted to talk about the benefits of art journaling. And I have this book here. You know me, I love to have books. This book it's called Journal Sparks, Fire Up Your Creativity with Spontaneous Art and Wild Writing and Inventive Thinking. And this is by Emily K. Neuburger. I had purchased this years ago at Micheals, and I every now and then love to visit this book. And it just has prompts, so different artist prompts of about yourself as an artist, doing watercolor splotches. I've seen people do this with tea or coffee stains, where they have a coffee stain or they purposely make one on paper and then do line work over top. Now this is such a simple exercise, but it's when you're starting out, it's a really good way to relax, get out of your head and play with marks that you love, get some color down on the page that you love and watch TV, doodle. For those of you that love like that Zentangle, I think that's what it's called, those books. This might be something that you could sort of add color to as well as do your doodles. Anyways, there's so many books. This one you can probably find at the library. This is really cute. There's a lot of artists. I believe Carolyn Gavin, if I'm saying her name right, I think she does these blobs and then finds women's faces. This is just another example if you love cats. But it's sort of like, what are the benefits of art journaling? This is funny, I was learning how to do some stamping, and so this is actually my stamping in here. And when I used to teach the benefits of art journaling at the public library here in Calgary, I had to do mind maps. So before I taught, I wanted to get out of my head, and I would put down all of my ideas, supplies, which I love. And this is all about art journaling and the benefits of art journaling. So I won't go over this entirely with you, but let's just go through a few. I love that art journaling is defined by what you think it should be. You as the artist, as the person putting down your marks, whether you're used to writing in a diary or a journal, or you just want to make a grocery list and make it look pretty. There's a whole bunch of those books, those calendars now where you can, purchase a calendar and decorate it with stickers. It's a way of documenting what's going on in your life. If you choose, it's a way of adding joy, color, texture to your life. It's for you. So if you just want to grab some paper and, write down what's on your mind, and then adding color, covering it up, there's so many, it's just so versatile. I love that it can be very reflective. I go back to my art journals. For instance, this journal I just flipped open. This is, again, one of those long landscape journals. And I kind of needed to get out of my head, and I just wanted to play. So I was cleaning my brush. I was painting a large acrylic painting at the time. And instead of putting paint, down the sink or cleaning it off with a paper towel, I always scrub my brushes onto paper. I get as much of the paint off, And then if there's any paint left on my palette, I let it dry and put it straight into the garbage if I can't use it, because once you activate it, it becomes a bit more toxic for the environment. I'm going off track. I just loved these marks. These were so free. I was using different watercolor supplies. Just right now I can see, you know, if I was to go in, I don't know if I remember exactly how I did this mark, but I just wanted to play. And I was just learning to use these water-soluble materials, these crayons, these Neocolor Caran d'Ache crayons. This is funny, I've just opened this journal and now I just want to keep playing in it. The benefits of art journaling, that's what we were talking about. Looking at this, I think, oh, I really love these wild marks. I love this pop of the neon jelly roll pen in here. I really like how some of it's faded. Like I had used some kind of a product over top of this and it just made the white lines faded. So what is it I love about these pages? Or do I love anything? Do I want to, you know, paint over it? These are just some, again, that I was just playing around with. Watercolor does not do very well in this Dilutions journal. So I do really like these colors right here. I love, again, this was the same pen. So looking back, what words came to my mind? Always with you. I was thinking of a family member that was going through a hard time. I was away at the time, this is 2020, and just playing with supplies. So these are not finished paintings. I had written in here with a white pen, and you know, I think I did watercolor over top. I can barely read it. I think it says create every day, do it for yourself, play, relax, enjoy. August 2020, and I was in Edmonton. I have family in Edmonton, so this was a great journal to take with me. This is, again, cleaning my brushes, but I love the idea of going over top. It's really interesting to see sometimes what supplies go well over top of black paint. So right off the bat, you know, some of these jelly roll pens, they can really be fairly vivid. They're very thin, but you can just see grabbing some supplies and seeing what you love and choosing a background other than white paper. And, you know, what speaks to you about that? Right now I'm just looking for, I'm totally sidetracking because I get excited. So yeah, I'm not going to go back to that page. Painting for health. So this is why I'm doing these videos. It's because I love creating, I love painting, but I was stuck in a bit of a rut and my mental health was just calling for me to, you know, kind of step outside of the box. I get a lot of dopamine and serotonin from painting and creating, but sometimes that can go down a road where it's not so good for my health. You know, I might get really caught up in, you know, measuring my productivity. How many paintings did I finish? You know, when I finished a painting, when I finish a painting, I get this hit of dopamine, the feel-good hormone. And when I sell a painting, I get a dopamine rush. When I, you know, finish a big show, it's that rush of dopamine, and it becomes like a positive addiction of sorts, but also an addiction where you have to be mindful, because it's sort of like you're doing something, but you're putting pressure on yourself to do it more because it feels so good. And so it's just having that insight to know when to change it up, what's considered, you know, healthy. If I'm forcing myself to put pressure on myself to finish all these paintings, say, you know, I used to finish multiple paintings in a day and I would feel so good at the end of my day. But on the days where I couldn't finish those paintings, I would get very frustrated. So for me, mental health is just a huge aspect in my creating process. I have to do it for myself. Otherwise, and these videos too, I have to do what works for me. Otherwise, I can't do much to support and inspire others. Okay, I'm gonna just, I want to tell you, I'm working on a few projects. There's a place called the Audio Room in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. They sell really high-end speaker systems, and right now we are myself and the manager and my printing partner, we are gonna revamp the audio room, and we're going to be doing this grand opening with my art on the walls, and we're kind of combining art and music. And I'm so grateful that they have purchased right now about 5 of my paintings, some of my large canvas prints and some of my paintings to go on the walls. And I was thinking about my painting Quiet, and I did like a little mind map about this project. And again, I'm totally going off track here, but this is just what's coming to me right now. I did this mind map, and I thought, what do I want as an artist for it to feel like when someone goes into a place to look at high-end speakers, to hear this incredible sound. Music just moves us. When I was in there and they did this demo, I closed my eyes and I was sitting in this chair and just listening to the song. I think it was called Time After Time. Such a beautiful song. I could hear the bass, and I closed my eyes and I felt like, what would it look like painting to this music in this space? What art do I want in this space? And I was thinking, for me, art keeps me present in the moment. That is why I paint. So I wrote down presence. I was talking about stillness, and for me, quiet, and the importance of, again, this like beautiful, beautiful, strong music playing in the background, but then also thinking of the value of stillness and quiet and pause, and sort of those two opposites of sorts, and how I use, white space in my paintings as, I think of, this is when I've just started, I think of this underpainting as like all the music and everything going on, and then having this white space as a bit of a break. I think I've talked about that, how, it can feel really awkward to have those silences in a conversation, or, but I think of like dance routines and how you're watching these dance routines and there's all this busy movement, but then people stop and they just freeze. And the power of just all of a sudden seeing everybody stop and freeze. It's like the power of blank space in a painting. I think of it when I think of supporting the audio room with my art. And, I know they're going to do a lot of marketing. They're going to come in and probably do a video of me painting. And how do I want to tie my art and artist style into that? I really want to show that contrast between the stillness, the quiet. All of us have such busy lives, and we're craving things all the time. We're always on our phones. Can't speak for everybody, but I know I'm on my phone all the time. It's really hard to turn off, get that, turn yourself off. And so I want to pull that into the marketing that I'm going to be doing for this project. And so if you're following me, you're probably following my Oracle deck journey, but I'm also going to be working on this beautiful large space, and hopefully the grand opening will be in the fall of this year, and I'm going to be talking about what art I'm going to put in there and sort of how it is related to music. One of my paintings that was just purchased is called Composed in Nature. It's this large wild acrylic painting, and composed in nature has to do with the composing of music. So that's a whole nother story. I am going to do some painting now. I think what I'm going to do is take this beautiful background that I have. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit, and I'm going to add my weight back here on my tripod. See some awesome shadows in here, and this is just calling my name. This was actually really affordable watercolor. I'm almost feeling like it was a mix of the dollar store Crayola watercolor. I was painting with my son. I added in my Gold Moon with the Sharpie paint pen, which I'm just gonna go over to brighten it up. And get that pop of metallic. And looking at this, immediately I want to do something that adds contrast. I wasn't sure what I was going to do today, so I have my supplies handy and just not picked out. So I'm going to shake up my Posca pen. and pick a couple areas where I want to do the polka dots. And I love the polka dots over the dark. This paint pen is running out, so I can always go back over it later, but it's enough just to show you adding contrast in your work. I love polka dots, as those of you who've been following me know that well. One of the comments made me laugh because someone said, you know, a lot of your viewers would probably love to watch you do all your polka dots instead of, you know, feeling like you can't do it all on camera. And I thought that was a cute comment because, you know, sitting through someone doing polka dots, I don't know how I would fare, but I appreciated that comment. It was very kind. And looking at this, I immediately see that I want to emphasize what I see in here as a leaf shape. And so I'm going to go to my watercolor crayons, and I'm going to find a gray that will just be able to do some line work. In here, I'm going to turn my painting upside down, and I'm just going to pull that inner part of the leaf down, and then I'm just going to go on quite an angle. I'm going to start on the left side first instead of back and forth, because I think you get into more of a rhythm and people can see your energy better that way. And then when I do this side, I try and flick out a little bit because I have a bit of a tremor. I've had caffeine. Flicking out helps make more of a straight line, if that makes sense. So I love that. And I see this beautiful bloom here, and I'm just deciding what do I want to do with that. I actually added some acrylic paint in here. That's another thing you can do with your work, just to mix it up and have fun. I think I'm gonna use a pink, maybe this pink, and I'm gonna do I want to do line work because of the lines here? I think I'm just gonna draw a really loose kind of flower, not overthinking it. Sometimes I wet the end of my water-soluble pencil crayon when I do this, but not this time. And I just want to be careful because historically I get so excited with mark making that I sometimes lose the blooms. And so if I'm doing marks over top of that area, just to be mindful, what do you love and want to keep in this painting, and be careful not to cover up. I'm going to switch to maybe doing some line work, and I can actually do another watercolor drip in here. I'm going to go back over this, all of this with watercolor. What do I see in this painting? I see that I want to do more of the polka dots, but over the lighter blue areas. Like this one, and then this one over here. If you don't care for, you know, dots, what mark do you love that might add contrast? And you don't even have to really think about the contrast part right now. You just need to look at, you know, if you have a sketchbook or look at other paintings, keep a Pinterest page or, you know, a photo diary of sorts as to what marks you love in maybe other people's work and how can you make that your own. It's very important to know yourself and what you love, and that can be really a hard process to figure out. It can take a really long time, but it's so rewarding when you get there. I feel like I could add in, right now I'm really loving the colors in this painting. Just kind of squinting my eyes, and I almost feel like, what do I want to do? I want to do some line work around the moon. So I'm gonna see, what do I have here? Do I have, it's kind of a dark color. I like this, it's a dark purplish color, and we're just gonna go with that. I'm just gonna kind of really take away from the roundness and do, this is where my essential tremors come in handy. When I'm doing this, it gives me a really beautiful wiggle, as I would say. And then one of my tricks, I'm gonna wet my brush and I'm just gonna do a little bit with activating some of this pencil crayon with water. Isn't that beautiful? So I didn't activate all of it. I'm just gonna see if you can see that. But I basically did my round moon with a paint pen. You can do that with anything. And I love that look, that squiggly look around here. You'll see that in a lot of my work, a lot of my mountain paintings. And I'm feeling like I haven't painted with watercolor today, and I just really miss painting. So I'm gonna see if I can find my watercolors. I have a new art desk, which I love. It's in the kitchen, so I have to put it aside every day after I'm finished painting. But I feel like I'm getting more organized with it. I'll just try, let's see. A palette that's well loved is the oceanpaper.com palette from Kauai. And just deciding what color I might want to pull in to do a drip. I might create a color. I'm craving a little bit of the blue. That's almost like, what color blue is that? I might just find that, looks like this blue. I'm gonna put this blue down on, this table is actually covered with plastic. My husband was really funny. He's like, I know you're not gonna get paint all over your new table, but why don't we just put this plastic down just in case? Really what he was saying is, there's paint everywhere in the house, and let's just try and prevent it from going everywhere while we can. So it was kind of him because he, oh, there's a happy accident. Okay, and I don't really want that mark over there. So let's just see if we can get it off. I'm gonna just dilute that a bit and dab. This watercolor paper, I believe, is Canson XL. It's cheaper, but look at that. I was able to really loosely, without moving the cotton fibers, get rid of that drip. And if I couldn't get rid of it, I would add like a white acrylic cloud over top. There's always things you can do to make it part of the art. And whoever ends up purchasing it or looking at it, they would just think it's part of your artist plan. I love that about art. Okay, I'm gonna take this color, which I don't know what it is, but it's darker. I've mixed it with this color. I'm gonna add a little bit more of that blue just to lighten it up. It's becoming a beautiful grayish color. And I'm gonna get a lot of water on my brush and a lot of this pigment. I'm gonna move the water so I don't spill it, and I'm gonna do a drip. So I'm gonna go from here, kind of up and over. You can layer watercolor, isn't that cool? And I love how the transparency over the white there. And then I'm kind of squinting my eyes and just seeing how far do I wanna go. I almost wanna, I love that the color is slightly different over here. There's already a drip here, so I'm gonna point. You can see I'm really shaky today from that awesome coffee. I'm gonna just point my brush downward, and I'm gonna have it go exactly where I want it. And then I'm gonna tilt the page back. And one thing I forgot about, which again is kind of cool, I'm just gonna get rid of this watermark. There's a lot of water going on here. I had forgotten I added water up here, but again, a happy accident. I can go back to this and I can just add in some more line work. Oh, went a bit crazy there. I went wide, but that's all right. It still looks pretty awesome. And I could have left it the way it had ran, but I'm just showing how easy it is. If you've done something and you don't love it, there's always room to work with it, work with what you had done. And that's a really neat effect. I am really liking this area. I might just add in a bit more dark to ground it. I think of these drips as me grounding myself when I'm painting. And I'm just gonna pull in a little bit more of that color. And I love how it pulled in that kind of black purple there. It's funny seeing my shadow on here. Okay, I'm going to add a tiny bit because I still have some on my brush. I'm gonna squint my eyes and I might do just a little bit, pulling some of that purple in just right here. And then I think it's a little dark. I'm just gonna add some texture with my paper towel by blotting it, and I'm gonna add a bit of water and just kind of move it out to make it look a bit more natural. Super happy with that. I can even add a little bit of that over here and soften up some of those edges. So this is a painting I had started, I think, a couple years ago when I was really trying to find my own style. And I nailed the background underpainting part because I found my own style in, you know, the colors I use, the composition, and I've lost my train of thought. Yes, but it's fun to go back and add mark making now that I really know what I love as an artist. Right now I just want to make this look like it was a little bit more planned. There we go. So yeah, we're gonna let this dry because it's pretty wet. I'm definitely gonna be smudging it if I work on it. And we can go in and add some water soluble. I'm thinking I'm gonna do some Neocolor Caran d'Ache crayons, some more line work. I'm gonna brighten up those polka dots with my white Posca or water-based Sharpie paint pen. And I'm hoping I inspired you today. I look forward to seeing you when the light is better, when I get a new light or get this one fixed. I also just want to see what else were we doing. I had painted this landscape in one of my earlier videos, and I just wanted to show you kind of the before. It's just really watercolor, this watercolor background that I'm so excited to go back to. These books are so wide. But, you know, getting watercolor down on some paper, get some high quality paper and just play. I'll show you. This is one that we're working on, which I need to go back to. I already remember that I want to go back and add white polka dots in here. This is one that I was just playing around with. You can see I was cleaning my brush. I had extra watercolor on here, and I was just playing around with balloons. And you can see there's like an iridescent white, a pearl up here, watercolor I was playing with, and just practicing with white paint and pulling color out of the middle. Here's again some little bases. When I first bought my Arches watercolor, I was getting into this style, but I haven't gone back to it. This is Yupo paper, and I was playing around with watercolor and started an acrylic landscape on here. This is a plasticky type paper, and I'm just getting used to working with it, but it has some beautiful, beautiful texture in here. And I love the turquoise. Again, some more play. This is pretty different it was a series I had done called Finding Frida One Stitch at a Time. And I had done, this isn't finished, but an acrylic background with all of this beautiful texture. And then I would put embroidery in certain areas. So that collection was so much fun to do. And it just took a really long time because you're painting the background. You can see how much texture is in here. And this, I do a lot of acrylic painting. Whoop, there's my timer. So I will leave you guys here and see you soon. Thanks for watching.